It's the most wonderful time of the year.
It's the Arrowverse crossover time. The time where fans of the DC TV shows get stupidly excited because the Arrowverse goes off the rails. It goes completely nuts and insane and throws all of the characters together at one time. Or in this case, most of them. But how did this one's fare compared to the previous ones, such as Invasion and Crisis on Earth X? Here's my thoughts.
Put the bunny back in the box.
So this year's Arrowverse crossover was Elseworlds, and full spoilers for Elseworlds here. I'm assuming you've watched it. If you haven't, go watch it. If you don't care about spoilers, well, stick around. But I'm going to be spoiling things. I don't know what yet, but the chances are I'm going to say something that's going to ruin something that happened in the episodes. So that's your warning. But it all started simply enough. Barry and Oliver's lives were switched. Oliver is now Barry Allen, who's wearing the Flash costume, and Barry is now Oliver Queen, who is the Green Arrow. And it was a fun setup, but things escalated from there. They went to Gotham, they met Batgirl, they went back to Star City and Central City again, and everything then got messed up even more, and Superman became Black Superman, and there's a lot. There was a lot that happened in this one that I can't even begin to sum up the synopsis for this one simply. But we'll just say it was fairly nuts in quite a lot of ways. And there were a lot of things I liked about it as well, but I'm going to get off the bat and say that I think this is the weakest of the crossovers so far, certainly of the big annual ones. So I'm not going back to like the Brave and the Bold at this point, but certainly out of Invasion, Crisis on Earth X, and whatever the other one was that I've now forgotten about. Oh, the Legends of Tomorrow one. This for me is the weakest. It is, because a lot of it feels much more like fan service than it does a plot, than it does an actual story that's got the merit to be told in its own right. There's so many fan service moments here, and don't get me wrong, I smiled at a lot of them. Like, they were nice inclusions, but it felt like that overwhelmed things a little bit. But let's start really with what did work, and that was the tone of this, because there was so much fun to be had from this one, particularly from Grant Gustin and Stephen Amell. The two of them swapping roles, so much fun to see. And how nice was it to see Oliver Queen smiling and laughing and joking? It really was. I hope they take some of that for the character going forward in Season 7, because I feel like he's been such a dark character for such a long time now, that it's about time he did lighten up a little bit. And I really like Oliver Queen as a character. I do. I've had issues with him in the past, but at the moment, really like the guy. But it would be nice to see him having more fun. And if this is an example of what he's like when he's having fun, then I am all for it. Because it was a breath of fresh air. And it made the very sensible choice as well of doing something that I actually really disagreed with when it was first announced, which is leaving out the Legends of Tomorrow characters, with the exception of Gary. Because for some reason, Gary is the only one of them that showed up in this one. Gary. The biggest overactor in the entirety of the Arrowverse. I hate Gary. Why Gary? But him aside, leaving out the other characters makes total sense, because it would have got so busy, so messy, so all over the place with the minute that they just didn't serve a point, because this was already trying to do too much, and it already didn't service the characters that it had that well. Some of them, it really did. Sort of the main ones, Barry, Clark, Oliver, Kara, like they got a lot to do, but they're pretty much the only ones, with a few exceptions here and there. If the Legends had been in this one, they would have just got lost in the shuffle, as so many people did. For example, 90s Flash was barely in this. That really pissed me off. I was so excited to see him. I went back and watched a couple of episodes of the 90s show in preparation, and I'm glad I didn't bother doing a video on it, because he really didn't have a lot to do. He was used in the same scene 3 times. That scene just got replayed on Supergirl, Arrow and The Flash. Then, when he finally showed up, he was there for about 10 minutes. He was made to disappear, and that's the last we saw of him. Big waste. And Batgirl as well. I don't really know what I think of her. I think Ruby Rose played her really well. There was something very interesting about the portrayal of that character and a lot of the history there. So where's Bruce Wayne, for example? Where's Batman gone? But the character itself, I don't think she was necessarily underdeveloped. I don't think it was anything to do with the performance. I think it was the fact that she just didn't have that much to do. Like, she was only in the 2nd episode, bar a brief cameo in the 3rd, and I don't really understand why she was there. I don't get it. It seemed like she was there just to, hey, we've got Batgirl in this one now, come see. But they didn't really have a lot to do with Batgirl to justify her inclusion. And based on what we saw, I'm not overly excited about a TV series for her either. Which may not be fair to her, because if she had her own show, she'd probably be able to do a lot more. She definitely would be able to do a lot more with it. But just based on what we saw here, I don't think we were given enough material with this character to propel any kind of interest or excitement for seeing her in her own show, and that's a shame, because there is definite potential. Ruby Rose is an awesome actress, and there were moments where she's awesome as Batgirl, but she just didn't get enough of them. And something else that surprised me as well is that Batman's always existed on Earth 1. Really? I really struggle with this. I thought that Batman was going to be another Earth. I thought it was going to be Earth, 76 or something like that. I thought we were going to have a different Earth to show Batman, or to at least mention the fact that Batman's around and then get Batgirl. But no, he has always been around on Earth 1 and now he's disappeared. But Oliver doesn't seem to believe that there's a Batman. So how did this Batman operate then? Because we know Batman. He's not exactly somebody who's just a myth. Like, he's prominent. He's very much there. He's got his own freaking signal that shines into the sky, and we see that signal. So how was Oliver so unconvinced that Batman was actually a thing? Nobody's taken a picture of Batman? Nobody's got a video of him? Ever? Really? And it's so jarring as well with the last nearly 7 years of this universe going on that Batman hasn't been mentioned once. Bruce Wayne has. We've had hints, like Oracle's been mentioned. Like Arrow, Oliver said himself, the nickname Oracle has already been taken. So by who then, if it's not by Batman? Because if he doesn't believe in Batman, I don't understand that. That messes with my head a little bit. If anybody's got any theories on that one, let me know. But I just don't see how Batman could have been a character in the Arrowverse without anybody knowing that he was genuinely a real dude. Don't get that. I've just realised I've gone from my positives straight into the negatives, so I guess I'm getting the negatives out of the way. But there was the whole issue as well of Barry becoming Oliver, which didn't work at all. Like, not even slightly. It was so weird to see everybody worried that Barry is turning into Oliver Queen and he's embracing this darkness, all because he just has to act like him for a little while. Like, is that really is going to be the catalyst for what could turn him into a dark vigilante? Come on. Like, no. And it didn't work tonally either, because whenever we had Oliver trying to embrace the light side to be more like Barry, it was played for laughs. But then we switched to Barry, who's all of a sudden pointing guns at people and just being uber violent just because he has to act like that. And it's done very, very seriously. And we have a whole heartfelt conversation between Barry and Iris about not letting the darkness win. Like, I don't think it needed this. It didn't need this weird element thrown into it at all, because it didn't make any sense. He's just pretending to be like Oliver. That's all he's doing. He's just pretending. He's just keeping up the act. So we're supposed to believe in the span of one episode, well, half an episode really, because it's about halfway through before he realises he has to act this way. We're meant to believe that he's started acting like it, and within 20 minutes, he's all dark and gloomy and ready to kill people. No. Didn't need to be in there at all. It felt very shoehorned in, and it just didn't work. I've got other issues, other smaller issues. As I say, this is definitely the weakest, I think, of the crossovers, but it did have a lot going through it. I started talking about that. I'm going to circle back to the positives of this now. Tyler Hoechlin, amazing. Love this version of Clark Kent. Really do. I don't understand why he had to play Black Superman as well. Like, I don't get why he had to be the villain. It feels like Jeremy Davis kind of got short-shrifted a little bit here, because he's a fantastic actor and he was a little bit wasted. I'm going negative again. But this version of Clark, and Lois actually, I really liked her, he just seems like he is Clark Kent and Superman. Like, he embraces, we only really saw a lot of Superman in this one, but he embraces Superman. He just is that character. The little smiles he does, the nice suit nod he gave to his evil doppelganger. Just really, really Superman-esque moments. I really hope we get a Lois and Clark show, another one. And a continuation of the 90s one as well, because I love that. But these two characters, definite potential for an incredible show in their own right. Really, really hope that we see it. And I just need to round of applause the Arrow writers at the moment. Just the way they introduced Smallville here, with the Smallville theme tune, Somebody Save Me, love that song. And filming at the original Smallville location of the barn as well. Such a nice touch. And also filming in Chicago for Gotham City was great too. They get some great locations on this one. But yeah, that moment of hearing that theme tune play and seeing that farm again was so cool. As a Smallville fan, I loved it. I haven't finished watching Smallville yet. I'm only on season 6 of it. But luckily I've watched it all recently up to that point. So it was a great moment. Did a little cheer when that came on the screen. But the main draw, I think, for the whole of Elseworlds is how great Oliver, Barry and Kara are when they're together. The three of them. They're such different personalities in a way. Barry and Kara instantly have a connection. Oliver's always been the one kind of on the outs of that one. So it's a really fun dynamic when the three of them come together. And I think this is the best example of it. Previously, Oliver was a little bit apprehensive of Kara. Like, he wasn't fully on board with her. But here, here he is. The three of them just bounce off each other so well. It's so much fun to watch. It's just a bit of a shame we only get these once a year. Got a lot more thoughts on Elseworlds, but I'm going to be joining the DCTV podcast to do an episode with them next week where we're going to get into it, so I'm going to save some of the thoughts for that one just so I still have things to say. But yeah, there are a number of other issues and things that I like that I haven't mentioned on this one, such as Alex Danvers feeling like very forced into the story. Didn't really understand where she came from. It was very, very odd. I didn't see the need for her to be there, even though I like the actress and I do like the character. Bit odd. But yeah, little moments like that I will talk about more with the guys in that podcast, so do look out for that one. I don't know when they'll upload it, but we're filming it next week, so soon. I'm going to give the Elseworlds crossover a 7 out of 10, but it's a strong 7. And it's only for the fact that the previous ones were so good that this one doesn't get higher than that. I kind of have to rate them on comparison to each other. So yeah, I think 7's fair, but definitely strong. Definitely a strong 7. Definitely one that I very much enjoyed watching. And just before we go, Crisis on Infinite Earths is next year's crossover. That's interesting. That's very interesting. It almost makes this Elseworlds feel more like a prequel than it does to the actual main crossover. Because it feels like that's to come. It feels like this is the setup and the big stuff is going to come on that one. But tons of questions about what they're going to do. They said it's next fall. So that, to me, isn't the same time of year this one. It's going to be earlier. Is that going to launch the new seasons? Are we going to have some big changes before these seasons launch their proper stories? In which case, are there going to be some big changes? What characters are going to be involved? Will Black Lightning finally come into the fold? Which means I'm going to have to actually watch them at some point. Because I haven't yet. Is it good, Black Lightning? I've never really got around to it. Will Supergirl's world be morphed into Earth 1? Will she become part of this world? I mean, there are so many questions, so many things they can do with Crisis on Infinite Earths. Really excited to see it. I hope they don't drop the ball. I say I don't think this was as strong, but it was still good. It was still very good. There were still things I liked about it despite the issues. But this next one, this is one they absolutely have to nail. It needs to be perfect. It needs to be epic. And I think it's a big enough story that you can get the Legends into this one as well. Because Crisis on Infinite Earths is something they can't just ignore. The Legends have to be on board for it. Only a year to go, hey? Not long. But what did you think of Elseworlds? Let me know in the comments below. I don't do a lot of TV reviews for episodes here, but some of the big ones I will check in and do, as well as full seasons reviews. But this crossover, the whole thing, felt like something I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to wait until all 3 were done so I could just review the whole story rather than individually. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. But let me know what you thought about it in the comments below as well, and let me know what your favourite Arrowverse crossover has been to date. Do hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, such as the Aquaman review, which will be coming tomorrow. There's plenty of movie reviews on the way in the next couple of weeks, some very big ones like Aquaman, like Bumblebee, like Mary Poppins Returns. All 3 of those I'm really excited for, so look out for reviews on them. You can follow me on Twitter at JoeJulians, which is also my name on Stardust. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.